Hi, Saksham. Thanks for joining. We're just waiting for others to join in. We still have some time. So do stay around. Awesome. Great. Well, firstly, thank you everyone for being here. I know it's a Thursday evening and tomorrow's a working day for everyone. But I hope that the next 40 minutes is going to be really, really exciting. We're talking about a very, very interesting space, which is the content creator economy. And anybody in the contents marketing space has a sense of what's happening there. But I think today what's really exciting is we have two fantastic domain experts, Aparna and Tarun, on the call. And they are going to basically be talking about this space and giving us an in-depth look into what's happening not only in India but also across the world. Right? I mean, I'm going to make the introduction, but I'm sure that you'll know both of them. So Aparna's been in the content strategy, creation, curation, growth strategy businesses in the content space, and no one better than her to be talking about how the space is evolving. As she has also grown and evolved as the content landscape in India and across the world has changed. And then of course there's Tarun, who's also part of Results and Outcomes as a co-founder, aside from being part of a co-founder at Genius Insight and Serendipity. And Tarun has been in the content world for many, many years and now, extending into ed tech and media tech. And, what are we talking about today, right? So, I mean, as last estimates, CB Insights suggested that it's about $100 billion economy, right? And if you look at the way the content economy is actually evolving, there are multiple players now offering content creators various ways to actually monetize the content they create. And it's not just individual platforms, but even big tech, whether it's obviously the Facebook ecosystems, Google ecosystems, Microsoft, yeah, Apple, all of them are now trying to, get a finger in the pie because of the huge opportunity it has. So the format will be, Tarun and Aparna discussing it for the next 35 to 40 minutes, and we'll keep the last 15 minutes for questions. Please put your questions in the chat box, and I'm happy to kind of moderate them and ask the speakers. There are already some questions on LinkedIn chat, which I will put to both the speakers. But over to you, Aparna and Tarun.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Aparna, why don't you go?
Yes, thank you, Anand. Yes, so Anand just said $100 billion economy, and who doesn't want a fair share of that pie, right? So let's really understand how this economy has evolved and what really are the components that make it such a buzzing thing for the future. In 2021 alone, there has been an investment funding of over $1.3 billion in the content creation economy, which is almost 3x the funding that it received in 2020. So in the first 9 months of the year, the optimism around where creators can go and where this economy can really take one is headed. There are now close to 50 million content creators, of which there are more than 2 million who are professionals, 2 million professional content creators creating content across YouTube, Insta, Twitch, many other platforms. And of course, the 46.7 million amateur content creators who, who who are on their way to become professional content creators, who are the ones who are largely experimenting, who are the ones who are largely looking at several different avenues to create more revenue and create more value for themselves. So what really is the creator life cycle, right? I mean, how does one become a creator? Where does it really start? Once you've identified your niche, once a creator has identified his or her niche, knows that this is what they're really passionate about, this is what really they stand for, this is what they can really make as their day job, they start creating their content, right? So you will find creators starting off with one post a day, increasing their number of posts, increasing how they're interacting with other creators, creating an ecosystem for themselves with along with other creators. And then really that's how they start growing their audience. So uh, more followers start coming, they start following others, they start taking inspiration from other creators. Many creators start collaborating, and then this is really how their audience starts growing. What happens when this audience grows, right? At the end of the day, today, most audiences sit on a platform and they don't belong to the creator. The creator only has followers on the platform, but not really much that the creator knows about who their following is, who their fans are, who is more likely to interact. While of course there is some level of data that is passed on to the creator really doesn't know much about who their audience or who their followers are. And that's really where the need to start owning your own audience comes from. And once you've owned your audience, what do you want to do? You want to start interacting with them well. You want to start creating content that they like. And of course, you want to start monetizing this content. You start monetizing content online, and then the obvious extension, like from offline happened online, from online, of course, happens offline. And then that's really where you realize that yes, this is a sustainable revenue model. This is something that can become your passion job, that can be your day job till you want to have it that way. And that's really when you start owning your own business. And what are the components required at each of these stages are some of the things that we look at now. Tarun?
So, Aparna spoke about the creator economy. Now, remember when most of you are marketers in this room, or are brand custodians, or are entrepreneurs. When we talk about creators, we're also talking about your brand as being a creator, right? The classic definition of creator, which was an individual who was trying to create and trying to monetize, is not what we are referring to. We are referring to anybody, which could be an institution, a traditional institution who does not have a digital monetization strategy. It could be an individual. It could be a bunch of people who work together in the creative field. They all are today creators in this new world. But, what does the classic creator world look like? Anybody has any answers? I'm happy to hear from anybody. You can unmute yourself and tell me. What did the classic creator world look like till about 12 to 18 months ago? Anybody? Sohela?
Yeah, so I feel that what's happened in the last 12 to 18 months, I think it's become more democratized. You're seeing a lot more micro influencers, a lot of non-creators becoming more braver and coming into it, because the platforms are enabling anybody and everybody to become creators. So at least I see that one big shift, happening.
Very nice. And what did their world look like? Asta, you were unmuting yourself, so why don't you tell us? What did their world look like till about 12 to 18 months ago?
I don't know. I feel like there is a lot more lesser barrier to entry, where because this is becoming such a normalized space that everyone feels like they can be a creator. And I'm seeing the lines blurring between comedy and lifestyle and music, and all of it like amalgamating to like just pure content. These days, I think even creators are trying to diversify the kind of content they are doing to, I think, like गाना भी गा रहे हैं, डांस भी कर रहे हैं, remix भी बना रहे हैं. So I think that part of thing is also diversifying. That's my
and you as a marketer, if your brand was a creator, what was your world looking like till 12 to 18 months ago?
Our world was
on Insta, Facebook, Twitter.
We found it very difficult. We found it easier to grow on Facebook for some strange reason, and difficult to grow followers on Instagram. I don't know if that's what you're asking me. It was more difficult for us to grow on Instagram because it doesn't allow. Instagram is a more creator-led platform and has some barriers against brands. Like, for example, you cannot run a follower campaign on an Instagram. So you have to grow very slowly, very organically. Agar aap side se nahi
bio in the link theory of Instagram.
Yeah. Yes.
Right now, or link in the bio. Sorry.
Yes.
Now, the question I was getting to was that the world of creators, publishers, brands look like that they were adjusting between 4 or 5. Yeah, I think, yeah. They were adjusting between 3 or 4 or 5 social platforms, right? And that was pretty much it, right? Somebody would do better on Facebook, somebody would do better on Instagram, somebody would do better on Twitter, but largely social. This creator economy map, this market map that we put in front of you, is really what the reality of the world is today and is going to be from here on. And mind you, there is no Twitter, there is no Instagram, there is no Facebook in all of this. This is the market map that allows for every brand to own their own destiny from here on. Whether it is about creating their content, whether it is about making sure they have monetization tools, whether it is about deploying blockchain around the content that they do, whether it is about making courses and making a bite-sized content that is put behind the paywall, whether it is about creating merchandising for themselves, whether it is about interacting with their fans, whether it is about managing their own community, where they have all first-party data on their own, whether it is about making sure they have all the analytics, and even financing to advertising. Today, the creator economy looks very different from where the creators came from till about 18 to 24 months ago, where they made some content, they put it on Twitter, they put it on Instagram, they put it on Facebook, they put it on YouTube and even TikTok and the likes of other vertical video platforms, and hoped in hell that somewhere or the other that it would stick. They would get some analytics. Some people gave them revenue share like YouTube. Some others never gave them anything like Facebook and Insta. Some people paid them upfront, like some of the new vertical video apps like Josh or Moj or Takatak or the others. And that was it. And then they would hope that some influencer marketing agency would come along their way and would give them some brand that fit their profile every now and then, and they could monetize themselves. And some of you will say, hey, we spend so much on nano creators, we spend so much on micro creators. Think about the amount of time that brands, that publishers, that nano creators, mega creators take to build that following, to build that content, to be able to do some stuff around themselves before they even start to monetize or they even start to get some, some small money in or some small change in. But the world dramatically changed. And today, they're aided by technology. Every single aspect of the creator's journey or the creator's life is in her control. It is now the last mile, and Aparna, if you can go back 2 slides earlier, it's that last bit, which is ownership of your content, ownership of your business, the last slide, the next one. This part is where this whole world is coming to. And our conversation today will teach you as a brand or teach you as a creator or teach you as somebody who's talented and believes that has the opportunity or has the understanding or wants to develop the understanding of how you're going to be able to capitalize on this creator economy. So that's really our thinking. You can go back to the slide we were on. Is how do we really do what we're talking about here? How do we deploy blockchain? How do we deploy subscription? How do we get the best kind of creator content creation or creator tools organized for ourselves? And how do we even build an entire community and fan interactions which are monetizable or which are our own in the long run? To give you a small example, right? Your community lies on Facebook. Your community lies on Instagram, or your community lies on Twitter. Asta, you just spoke about how Facebook and that community work better than your Instagram community, right?
Yeah, it was faster to grow. It was easier to grow. More content.
What do you really know about your Facebook community?
Not too much, just where are they from and what age group and what kind of apps they want, like the kind of targeting we set.
Correct. So you know pretty much what Facebook allows you to know, which is limited first-party data on your community. You never have first-party information like email IDs. You never have first-party information like phone numbers. You never have first-party information like their interests or intent. You cannot administer information or questionnaires to them. You cannot do your entire analytics to them. Can you?
No, it's difficult. It's not there. It doesn't exist.
We
can't really deep dive. Yeah.
And Facebook in its entire data privacy, even Facebook of 36 to 48 months ago may have passed that data to you. But after going to the congressional hearings, I don't think Mark Zuckerberg is looking for that. But today, after all of that that's happened with Cambridge Analytica and all of that, it's impossible to get any data from a social platform and the community that lies on it. But can you still continue to engage with your community with first-party data? Yes, you can. And what do you really do? You move your community to your own platform. You move your community to a platform like Mighty Networks or Circle or Shortcall or Lelo. These are technology platforms that have been built for all of you to be able to get enough engagement, enough deployment, enough recruitment, enough advocacy for your brands as and when you want to. And so a large part of the creator economy is now the owned economy. And as we make progress as brands in being able to choose our social vehicles, we will make two choices now. One will be your social community. That ain't going away. But two will be your real community, the community that you own, the community that you engage, the community that you have data for, and a community that you can monetize anytime you want. Your ability to actually monetize your social community is very, very limited. But when you own your community, you can put them behind, you can put your content behind the paywall. You can offer them courses. You can do commerce with them. You can charge for fan interactions. You can charge for, articles to be read, so on and so forth. So all of what you could never do on social, and then you have to push people onto a website, and then from there on to, your paywall is possible on your community platform, which you own yourself. All of these community platforms are tiered in many ways. And, when we get to the full course in the results and outcomes, Mica ADDP course, we will talk to you guys a little more about how to really use these platforms. How do you deploy them? How do you make the most of the community that you create? But at this point in time, I can tell you that the future lies in ownership. Now, that was a little bit about community. Let me take you to subscription or to blockchain, right? Your ability to create your own blockchain currency is another very big aspect of where the world is moving to. I think, we don't give ourselves enough credit in the power of content that we have. But all of you guys who are as brands or as creators in this entire ecosystem must believe that paying through different currency tools is a new reality, right? There are things like Flixo. You must look at Flixo. Flixo tells you, or Flixo is a platform that has combined blockchain and crypto with peer-to-peer CDNs as well as distributed ledger for content ownership. So what does Flixo really do? There's a piece of content. I deploy that on a platform. You, as somebody in North India, and let's take a city like Meerut, download that content to watch. Now you become part CDN for anybody who wants to watch in the Meerut area. So they're not going to now go back to the AWS servers to seek that content. They're going to seek that content out of your phone or your device, which is where peer-to-peer CDN networks come. And because you've given an approval for your phone to be used as a CDN network, which is the closest to anybody else in Meerut, you are now getting money that was going to go to AWS from the distributed ledger for being the CDN distributor. So look at the value chain. There is the content cost and there is the distribution cost. The content cost is getting paid by blockchain, and the distribution cost is also getting divided through blockchain amongst many, many people. This is just the start of the distributed ledger economy in the world, right? There are others like Social Stack, which are turning passive followers into active community. And the entire thinking of Social Stack is built around how any brand wants to define their purpose. And if you're mission driven, then they allow you to use their social currency that they've created. If you're a brand who's going to create a positive impact on the planet, if you're going to uplift some communities, if you're going to advance some meaningful charitable cause, then they allow you to be able to collectively fund through a carbon-friendly blockchain tool that they've created for you, right? And that becomes the way of funding all of that content. Then there is Roll, right? The Roll network mints branded digital tokens unique to your online presence and allows you to own, control, and coordinate the value to create across platforms, right? And so you are literally minting your own blockchain currency. You're earning and you're rewarding using that currency. So, we believe that even the payment ecosystem is going through a 360-degree shift, from paying through credit cards, from paying through regular methodology, to paying through crypto tokens, to be minting your own content as well as minting your own tokens. This entire value chain is going through a 360-degree shift. Then comes merchandise. And if you guys have seen some of the stuff that's even happening on YouTube today, things like Spring allow you to work with your platform, but be able to develop unique merchandise that takes users from your social platform to your merchandising platform extremely seamlessly. Today, if you look at YouTube, they have a store button. And when you move from that store button, you're able to see the entire merchandising range showcased on your YouTube account, on your YouTube handle, on your YouTube channel. But then you're able to complete that transaction across any merchandising partner that YouTube's got. This was never possible 24 months ago. And you who believes that you have a unique persona and you have a unique set of followers, you're able to build your own look and feel in merchandise that you don't really have anything to do with. All you need to do is work with a partner, build a set of merchandise that they will stock, that they will create, that they will ship, and that they will pay you for. So you're really an affiliate for your own merchandising store. Something that you didn't do, or that you could think 100 times before you even started down that path. Their entire merchandising angle that people like Disney and all had created and had created extensive value in has now been democratized, has been really come down to the last common denominator, and now allows for any publisher, any creator in any brand to be able to monetize with. These are just some examples of where the world is going, right? Fan interactions, financing, very good administrative tools. One of the big things on administrative tools have now become things around the link in the bio. And there are many tools that actually allow you to optimize your entire link in the bio theory. And there are things like Linktree and the others. More about that during a longer course. But it's enough to say that the creator economy market map is changing. Publishers, brands, you as marketers, or even individual creators were approaching their content. And so what we just started with, which is we were doing a handful of creator platforms like, TikTok or Reddit or Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, are now doing Kajabi and Spring and Hecto and Discipline and Disciple and many, many others. So this entire world is changing very, very fast. It's your ability to be able to understand where your strength lies. What are these choices that you have to make? How do you bring your entire creator economy together for yourself? How do you understand your brand as well as you understand your persona and your ability to be able to bring in quality interaction and fans, and what you're going to do with them in terms of both engagement, retention, advocacy will allow you to build your entire ecosystem. Aparna.
Thanks, Tarun. I got so engrossed in listening to you. I almost forgot I had to also speak. But yes, so much. And the beauty of it all is that they all go seamlessly across platforms. So there's actually no friction caused for a creator or followers of a creator when they go from one platform to the other. So if you look at content creation tools, right, most social platforms will give you very basic content creation tools where you'll have a couple of filters, some text editing, and some music effects. But when you go to content creation tools like Spice or Capwing or Canva, which most of us are using so much, you create your content, you create whatever you want to do, a text piece, a video piece. There are templates available. There are a whole lot of fonts available. You can go pro and then maybe make a small payment to them and actually have their entire range of BG and music available to you, and from there itself share to any social platform you want, right? So it's actually made the entire thing very seamless. And I was reading a blog by this influencer who and I was on Substack, and something she wrote really interested me. I thought I should know more about it, and there was a course that she was offering, and from Substack, so seamlessly I went to Maven to see what really her course was, and now I'm actually in her wait list so that I can enroll for the course. So that really is very important for influencers and for content creators, a way to directly interact with fans, and that's really where the entire community management piece comes in, right? Paid open communities, closed communities, paid communities, moderation in your communities, something that your open social media platforms couldn't really do because they were always operating at scale, because that really was never the focus for them. But when you're in a tighter group, when you're in a smaller group where there's much more personal interaction, a lot of these features can be built in. So from creating your content to be able to go seamlessly to your community, to be able to nurture your community, to offer them courses, to offer them merchandise, to be able to interact with fans so closely, to your community telling you what you should create next. There are a whole lot of options now available.
I think, one of the points that Aparna was making, and everybody should know about this, right? Canva got valued at about 40 billion this week. That's the combined, it's more than the combined value of Viacom, CBS, and Warner Media in the US. So that says something. And Canva is really a starting point in the content creation journey. What is really important is that when you look at this creator economy roadmap, you understand, you as a marketer or a brand, how do you move from doing social media strategy to being able to do creator economy strategy. And that's really where we come into doing the entire course on content marketing and digital marketing in the ADTP course. So think about, if you are a brand, what content creation tool will you use? How will you make sure that you got the right kind of monetization tools? What is the framework to be able to use real or cryptocurrency? Do you have the opportunity to be able to create content that can go behind the paywall as courses? Is there an opportunity for you to stand out with merchandise? Is there a way that you build your fan economy? What is the administrative tool that you would like to use? And one of the things that on the administrative tool that you must understand is very, very critical for you is to be able to build your own rule-based recommendation engine. That's one of the things we teach you in the course is how do you build a rule-based recommender using these administrative tools? Because building the community is fine, but being able to personalize for this community on your platform will be the key, because it's never going to be one suit fits all. And the other thing that you can't do is that you can be irresponsible around the personalization. So how do you create responsible social media for yourself? How do you make sure that you don't put your users in a rabbit hole where we're starting to only do rule-based recommendation around what they like and not give them enough serendipity logic? How do you make sure that you are able to balance between statistical, between promoted, moderated, as well as collaborative engines on your administrative tools, and you have a very rich recommender system for yourself? So, Aparna, I think we have lots more to go. Why don't we go to the next slide?
Would you like me to talk?
Yeah, why don't you walk through it? Yeah.
So, really, how does the entire economy flywheel operate, right? There's acquisition of your audience. You need to engage them. You need to retain your audiences. And then, of course, there's advocacy that happens, which again leads to acquisition. In the entire economy, creator economy market map, we saw multiple tools. Right now, some of these tools are important for your acquisition strategy, which is your content creator tools, your admin and data access tools, for your brand reach, overall marketing. Engagement happens through your community tools and your fan tools, right? If your fans can actually tell you what you should create, or if your fans can come and have personalized VIP meetings with you, have personalized interactions with you. That's really where from community it can go to your super fans. And then, of course, retention, right? Retention happens through multiple tools. And then advocacy finally happens when somebody wants to buy the merchandise that has your logo on it or has a smart line that you have spoken about. There's financing and there's blockchain that, of course, Tarun has spoken about. So the entire flywheel then therefore sits in these 4 categories.
Yeah, and it's extremely important for you to be able to understand how the flywheel is relevant to you, your brand, your community, and you as either as a marketer or as a creator, right? Most creators tend to do very classic stuff around, okay, I've come in, but I don't know what to do with my fans. I will, either do a fan live thing, which, a lot of the social platforms has taught us, or I can do some amount of giveaway with my fan. But really engaging communities and fan engagement is now a very, very evolved subject. I'll give you some examples around fan engagement, and we've done a fair amount of research and a fair amount of work around fan engagement. So it's something that is close to my heart. But today, fan engagement has gone to a very evolved point, right? So people are doing personalized video messages for occasions. They are doing DMs, at scale for fans. They're doing gag gifts. They're doing, things like live one-on-one calls. There's a range of pricing that has been built around the fan ecosystem. There is a platform like Cameo. There is a platform like PeerPop. All of these have actually, done what you never thought you could do with fans, right? Think of a platform like Payhip. So Payhip is really an e-commerce platform that enables anyone to sell their work directly to fans and followers. And when you do an API integration with Payhip to your community, you're actually selling to your fans. They provide you all the tools that you need to get up and running, including your own unique storefront where you can showcase your products. You can, work with them in building your art, building your ebooks, also selling longer term memberships. So how do you really monetize your fans is the question that should be in your head, right? Are you building an affiliate system through your fan where you're harnessing your fans to become your affiliates? Are you being able to do really good pricing for your fans, which is a pay what you want kind of pricing mechanism? Are you allowing them to do social discounts for you? Are you building design freedom, where even fans can actually design their communication with you? Those are all the things that are possible today. A platform like SuperPeer does all about, it's a video mentoring platform that helps experts share and monetize their knowledge online. And you can do everything from scheduling to charging to subscriptions to even, branding yourself as intellectual or a TED talker or an expert brand and so on and so forth. And it has features which are like buy me a coffee, right? And platforms or creators even fund projects together through fans as they go along. So fan and fan tools are seen as really deep engagement, tools for creators today. Are you thinking of fans like your long-term community that can actually make you a sustainable social brand? That is a question that you must answer. There's a certain amount of self-talk that you will have to do as a brand when you look at this flywheel and say, where do I stand? Right? Me as a brand, am I still in the Facebook, Reddit, Twitter era, or am I slowly and surely owning my own future in the creator economy? Aparna.
So how does it all really sum up, right? What are the different revenue models, and at what stage? As micro nano creators, of course, there's opportunity for sponsored content, and today we know that nano creators, micro creators with more engaged audiences are more dear to brands than those that have a huge following. So there's the sponsored content opportunity, the product placement opportunity, and then of course service commerce. As you go into the mid creator category, there's advertising rev share, because by this time you have some reach there, and there is social and video commerce. But then really as you start going up the value chain, subscriptions, donations, NFTs, PPV, tipping, merchandising, all of these open, right? And then of course, as at the top of the pyramid are the shout outs, where where your favorite celebrities can give you personalized video messages. There are VIP meetings, and a lot of these don't necessarily have to start when you're at a certain scale, because it's not really about how many followers you have anymore. It's so much about how many engaged followers do you have, how many fans do you have, and how many of those really are your super fans, are your true fans. And that's really what we'll come to next. Then you want to go to the slide?
I think, and this pyramid, think about this as exactly as creator universe, as a brand universe, as anybody who wants to monetize themselves. So where are you, right? Are you a mid creator? Are you a mega creator? Are you a micro creator? What are you? So those are things that you must answer yourself. Remember, are you the Sony Walkman? Are you the iPod? Or are you Spotify? Or are you blockchain for music? You need to decide, as a social being, as a social brand, where do you really lie? And I'm not going to say what the Walkman is equivalent to is, but you understand the point I'm trying to make. Yeah, Aparna, let's go.
Yeah. So who really are these creators, right? And really, we could all come from any walk of life. We could just be simply moms, parents, lifestyle bloggers, photographers, chefs, podcasters. To what do they produce? So there really is no entry barrier, or there is no criteria of what sort of a creator you could be. What do they produce? They produce everything from photos, art, newsletters, and there are several creators who specialize only in sending out newsletters. They're possibly domain experts who are collating a lot of information and sending out newsletters. Ebooks, blogs, video streams. They conduct one-to-one sessions, audio podcasts, and multiple other things, right? And of course, how do they monetize? We've looked at all of these.
Right. So the point we're trying to make is that you could be anybody. I mean, this list is not exhaustive, but yeah, Aparna, you can say on the last slide.
This one?
You could be anybody. You could be a broadcaster, you could be a game developer, you could be a game streamer, and you could be any traditional business. You could be a B2B brand, D2C brand, you could be a lifestyle brand, so on and so forth. So don't think of yourself as only an individual creator. You could be just about anybody, and you can produce just about anything. Your community will allow you to be able to be relevant and to monetize yourself. I mean, we're building out a community for a vegan brand. And the way we are starting out with, the community is that we're getting vegans across the world together first on a platform. And then we're going to introduce to them the concept of plant-based meat, right? And our first platform is going to be our own community platform. It's not going to be a commerce platform. It's going to be a community platform, because we believe if we can build super fans around the entire theme of being vegan, then our opportunity to monetize them is really, really easy, and people go down the funnel that much more faster and quicker, right? The sharper your messaging, the sharper your ability to build a community, the better it's always going to be. Yeah, Aparna. Right. So here's, we've always classically believed that advertising was the only way that platforms monetize themselves. But if you build communities, then YouTube would give you a revenue share of their advertising and so on and so forth. You as a brand could do, as broadcasters in Star or Sony or Zee have always done deals with YouTube where they would give us an MG on the advertising. You can become an individual creator and hope to get some revenue from YouTube on advertising. And now Facebook has started to do a little bit of that. But that's not what it is. All the conversation that we've been having today is about making sure we go beyond ads, whether it's commerce tools, whether it's virtual live experiences, whether it's internet-based communities, whether it's in-app currencies. And we spoke a lot about crypto before this, right? Whether it's about donation, microtransactions, tipping, whether it's about VIP subscriptions. There are a whole lot of things that you can do depending on what is your brand, how are you going to follow the framework? And, we will teach you that framework in the course in the longer term. But all of these can work for you at many, many levels. Aparna.
Yes, and I think Sohaila had a very nice question around this, and I hope this slide answers your question, right? So, she asks, can you own your own audience before growing your audience? Reach versus engagement, which is more relevant today. So while of course reach brings you a whole lot of audience, what really is important for you today is those super fans who will drive maybe from Mumbai to Pune to attend a concert, right? Who will do every possible thing just because they want to be in the same frame as you. Those really are your super fans who bring you the value. And if you look at the 1,000 super fans or 100 super fans, they almost bring you the same value, right? Really depending upon where your niche is, or what is it really that you offer. You can actually make your living by making sure that you've segmented your audience well, and you've created your products that are tailored for them and at varying price points. So if it's whether it's through merchandising, or whether it's through subscriptions, whether it's through PPV, or whether it's through any other means that you are going to interact with fans, having a community that's highly engaged with you, that follows you, that those are the fans who will wait endlessly for a celebrity outside a restaurant just to catch a glimpse of the celebrity. If you have those super fans as a creator, yes, you're all home.
Yeah, and it could be a good D2C brand. You have a good vegan brand, you have a good, hand badge brand. You can be anything. If you have super fans, and you can see this whole comparison on the 100 true fans and 1,000 true fans, right? The 100 true super fans can give you far more revenue than, the 1,000 fans can. And there are examples on platforms where this has happened. So if you look at Twitch, right? And Twitch is a gaming platform. It is so loyal for gamers that they would do just about anything to be on Twitch and to be able to even pay for live streams watching people game together. On the other side, you can have YouTube, right? Which also has live gaming, but people may not be super fans there and may not pay for it. And a lot of platforms go between both having true fans and super fans. But the point being that you as a brand, what are you cultivating? If you want just widths, then you can have lots of fans, but you want depth and you want loyalty. And we will walk you through these frameworks in the longer course. But really, what do you want to develop? You answer that question to yourself, and then you go on and build that for yourself, right? The most important thing is also about choosing platforms then, right? Are you choosing Patreon, which is a reach platform, or YouTube, or are you using Kajabi? So Kajabi may not have the inherent reach in it, but when you bring your true super fans, it can give you really good CX. It can give you really good UX. It can give you really good UI. It could give you the personalized touch that a Patreon and a YouTube can never give you. Yeah, Aparna.
Yes. So really, what does this really bring us to, right? I mean, what is the creator philosophy? Each creator will need their own custom built platform, their own world, top to bottom, from the underlying technology to the published content. The creator economy is now growing to become the ownership economy, right? So from you not just creating your audience, but owning your own business, owning your own, growing your audience to being able to monetize your audience, to having all insights, really from just creator economy, you're going to become the ownership economy.
So go for this. Don't be the Walkman where you just use social for some amount of brand awareness and doing the right thing, being present on social, but own your community and be the blockchain era for yourself. Thank you so much. I think we're going to leave the last 10-15 minutes for questions. You were a wonderful, quiet audience. We would love to hear from you and answer any questions you have.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Varna and Tarun. That was really, really very, very interesting. Lots to learn there. It's amazing what technology and platforms are doing and opening up absolutely new avenues never imagined before for content creators at every level of the pyramid. There are some people who had asked questions on LinkedIn. Sandeep Sinha, if you're there on the call, we'd asked a very specific question. If you're there on the call, you can go ahead and put it to the panelist, or I'm happy to.
Sir. I can see Sandeep there, but you can ask for him if he, or otherwise he can ask.
Sandeep, okay. So Sandeep's question is, okay, Sandeep's question was fundamentally that he would like to know how leading studios handle unsolicited pitches and what could an independent content creator producer do to get a foot in the door.
So really, why do you want to go to a studio? The question is, if you think you have great content, there is financing opportunities available to you. You've got to go out and build your idea with third-party financing and to be able to then monetize yourself. It will give you IP ownership. It will give you community ownership. It will give you continuity and sustenance for yourself. The world of broadcast was Warner Media and Viacom CBS together. The world of owned economy is Canva. You have to decide where do you really lie. Anybody else? Any questions?
I think
we have the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, Shushmit, you had a question. Are you there? Shushmit Chandra, or do you want me to read it out?
Yeah, why don't you read it out? It'll be faster.
Okay, Sushma, that is an interesting question. So he said that, is the content industry ready for an aggregator platform? As in, content developer versus production house and broadcast only. He's talking about creating a platform where you can pick up a writer, a graphics designer, an editor, cameraman, and all the skills available on one platform to create your content.
Upwork is that platform. There are many such platforms, Fiverr, Upwork, but really, I mean, getting talent is become and aggregating talent is becomes the easiest thing. You want great designer, go to a platform called Awesomic, right? And a lot of what we were talking about is really the democratization process. So, yeah, I mean, it can be a full subject of its own, right?
Rohit had a question. So he said, could you name 3 platforms or companies for
Aparna, can you just put up that slide?
Yeah.
Rohit will give you some, and I'll send you some reading material on that, Rohit. There's a lot of, if you just go back on the creator economy slide. No, just one more. Yeah. These are all the financing options available. There is Cara, there is Indify, there is Juice, there is Potter, there is all of these, Rohit.
Manisha had a question and said that how do independent filmmakers, content writers pitch very high value content ideas but still retain IP with them?
That's the thing. Get financed, make it yourself, make it collaborative and monetize yourself, right? Build your community before you even start making your show. You have a great idea, get people together as a community who will possibly, that fan community will possibly fund your project for you. Right? You have a great idea, share it with people, get them to fund together, get them to co-own it with you, and then go out and monetize it for yourself. And everybody will own a part of it. So the other big way of doing that is to be able to use blockchain. And there are lots of blockchain platforms that allow you to do that. Yes, Sohela. Why don't you ask yourself? Andy's getting tired.
Yeah, I mean, super session, Tarun, as usual. I want to know which individual creators you feel are, doing it right and doing it well, basis everything that you've right now taken us through.
So see Akash Banerjee and Deshbhakt. Have you seen him?
No, I haven't.
Go out and see him on YouTube today. He has a good merchandising store. He has an entire paywall, and he's done a great job with it. Look at Jim Quick. Have you seen Jim Quick?
No, Tarun.
Okay, you must see Jim Quick. Jim Quick runs a platform which he's built on Mighty Network. And you know what he does, Sohela? He teaches you how to have better memory.
Wow.
He's built a community of people who want to do 2 things. Either have better memory or can read faster.
Wow.
And you know what he sells his courses for? He's got a community. He's got lots of free content. A lot of people come and engage with him, so on and so forth. But you know what he sells a course for? For super reading? Take a guess.
Oh.
$18,000.
My God.
For a month. And he doesn't do any live sessions in it. And it's one of the most fastest selling courses online. All he does is teaches you how to read fast. And you know what he teaches you? How to use a visual pacer.
Oh, gosh. That's very interesting. Yeah.
So go, his community is called Quick Brain.
Okay, I'll definitely look at it.
And you should see the way he brands himself on videos. From his t-shirt to the book that he's kept behind to, the entire setup that he's made for all the videos that he's recorded. Every single thing is merchandised.
Okay. Interesting. Thanks, Tarun.
He's built on one of the platforms that we talk about here, which is the Mighty Network, which is where we want to use these frameworks and teach you guys that as a brand, as a creator, as somebody who wants to be in this economy, how do you go about doing this? And these are the case studies that I want to take you guys through.
If I may add, Tarun, and the earlier 2 questions asked about how do aspiring writers, how do those who have great concepts really pitch? What is really happening in the creator economy is it's actually making the network executive redundant, right? A couple of network executives decided what an entire nation watches, right?
A couple of people like us, Aparna.
Yeah. X.
We're clearly
But yes, so really, but only a couple decided the world over what what audiences should watch, and that was basis what really their network stood for or what they really wanted, right? It wasn't what consumers wanted. If you went and asked consumers if this was really what they wanted to watch, you would never really get those answers. With the creator economy, what happens is that each creator and each fan, audience is empowered and the creator is empowered, and really you don't need any more humans taking a guess on whether your concept or your idea or your talent is good enough to be showcased or not. Yes, Andy, do we have more questions?
We have time for one more last question. Anybody with a question, you can unmute yourself or you can just put it on chat.
Yeah, I want to, before we do a last question or rather than the last question, I want to really say a few things to everybody, right? Think of yourself as a brand. Think of yourself as a creator. And then think of how you have a unique talent. You can uniquely engage people. What can you uniquely bring to the table when it comes to building value in your communities? And then how will you go about monetizing yourself? That's the framework that you have to deploy in the longer term with yourself, with the brand, with the D2C objectives that you have, and with anything that will be forward-looking and future-looking. And think of what currency you want to be paid in. Crypto, you want to be paid in PPV, you want to be paid in ad dollars, so on and so forth. The opportunities, the options are limitless. They are limitless for people who want to stay ahead and who want to look at their life with a future lens on it. So thank you so much. Look forward to hearing more of you guys in the ADTP course. This was just really a bit of a precursor of what Aparna is going to teach and what I'm going to spend time doing with all of you. And have a good weekend. Cheers.
Thank you, everybody. Take care.
Thank you.
Good evening ahead. Cheers. Thank you, Aparna and Tarun. Fantastic session. And look forward to more during the course. Cheers, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.